Hi, everyone. Great to have you with us for a brand new edition of the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. Bill Pito along with Steve Alliquette, Alan Hahn, and Michelle Gingras. So Michelle and Valley have a new show on MSG, Home Ice with Rangers coach David Quinn. The next airing Sunday on MSG at 10 a.m. And Michelle, the question is, how quickly did you realize that Valley is impossible to work with?
Oh no, Valley's been great. It's been we've only done 1 week, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's been fun so far. It was a really great week one, and we're looking forward to just how this unfolds throughout the rest of the summer.
Now, I understand this is going to be strange coming from me, but Michelle, between Quinny and Valley, how do you possibly get a word in edgewise in that?
Yeah,
You're one to talk.
That's what I said.
They're very good at, I can tee them up, and they definitely run with the ball, which is okay. That's kind of what you want. But no, they've been, honestly, I feel like so far, Valley, you can speak to this as well. Like Coach Quinn's been extremely transparent. I feel like it's been really informative, and for Rangers fans and maybe just fans of hockey in general, it's an easy watch. It's fun so far.
He's going to get into the details. It's terrific.
Look forward to the debut on Sunday morning. This is National Nurses Day, and on this day, we thank all of them who are helping all of us, all the other healthcare workers, and all the other essential workers who are helping us through this pandemic. And we want to start, guys, staying with the hockey conversation, because there's talk that the NHL really wants to hold a draft in June, even if they are unable to finish the regular season. Steve, what does that mean in terms of potential execution here?
Well, I think the reason why, Billy, is because NHL executives, their contracts, scouts, everybody in that scouting staff, they all expire June 30th of every year. And the Calgary Flames, in fact, have 18 of their amateur scouting staff and internal people up for contracts. They have to have this done now, because if they wait until the end of the summer or after the season, in the effect it does happen, they've got a lot of problems to try and get over, and a lot of hurdles. I think for the Devils, this is one where the news really hurts them the most. They have the 6th overall pick right now. If they win the draft lottery, they get up into the 2nd spot. They have no shot at 1st. It hurts them the most. The Islanders and the Rangers, I don't think it's really a big deal. The Rangers may move from 13th up 4 spots. But the top 5 slots are all guaranteed right now, that these guys have a chance not to drop too far. I think it's fair for a lot of the teams that are coming off of horrifically bad seasons, like the Detroit Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators. I don't think the NHL wants the Detroit Red Wings to be a bad team for much longer. It's one thing to tank, but it's one thing to be pathetic. And they have as much as a 57% chance to win the 1st overall pick, because if anybody outside the top 5 wins, they will then jump into that spot there where Detroit can't end up anything worse than 2nd. So there's a lot of moving around, and I'm sure that a lot of things will shake themselves out favorable for Ottawa or Detroit.
Can you explain how that works? Because that's like, I know are they reverting back to an older system? Is that what they're doing? Yeah,
the 2012, they used this last, where the top 5 teams that are up there won't be able to drop too far. As far as the 5th spot right now, they can move up 4 spots. Everybody has a chance in the top 5, but I think the biggest news for the NHL is that Detroit and Ottawa are at worst going to have their picks in the top 4.
I was going to say though, Valley, I'm surprised you said that this wouldn't be favorable for the Devils, because if they did win, I know you said the highest they can go is up to 2nd, but at least they'd be going up to 2nd as opposed to being where they are now.
They would have had a shot at 1st under the other system. That's the only thing.
Okay, right.
That's going to upset them.
I think in this format too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you go from having 3 chances to end up in the top to just 1, like they're only picking the top, the number 1.
Yep. Yeah. So I think when the league looks at this, guys, in big picture, you always want your original 6 teams to be in the picture. And I think in a big way, this helps Detroit out a lot. I don't think the league needs Detroit to be this bad for very long. This is going to help them out a great deal. And I think a lot of times this goes into play when they make these decisions.
Jersey's had enough number 1 picks.
Well, you know what's been funny about New Jersey, Alan, is that for the years that I started covering hockey at MSG, that roster wasn't very strong, but it was getting floated by Corey Schneider's strong play. So they were always in that mushy middle, and everybody wants to stay away from that 11 to 15 pick, because you don't always get a franchise guy. And then when they're supposed to take that step forward as an organization, now Corey Schneider doesn't play up to snuff. And funny enough, Mackenzie Blackwood steals 5 games down the stretch. And now you're looking at a Devils team that's outside the top 5 again. The goaltender has sunk and elevated this organization at the wrong times over the last 7 years.
What's interesting, guys, is you listen to some GMs, they say a lot of times they determine draft need based on playoff performance. That's very difficult to do, Michelle, obviously, if you're going to have the draft before the potential playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried, I think we're all trying to understand, you know, the thought process behind, you know, why you would have it in June. And Valley, I think I kind of agree with what you were saying earlier. And just to add to that, it's such a quick turnaround time. If they wait until the playoffs are over, assuming that we go back, you know, they play the rest of the season out and there are playoffs, there's talk that they want to start the season in December. So that you're looking at like a 1.5 month period to kind of get all of this stuff done. In addition to what you said, you know, those contracts coming up, there's a lot of decisions that I think all of a sudden need to be made in advance so that these players have a chance to kind of see. But it's a great point, Bill. Like, you don't really know totally what you need until you're in those pressure situations, and maybe obvious needs kind of appear as you go down the stretch.
Some other things in the news here, Alan, as a Jets fan, Frank Gore has signed with the Jets, 37 years old. This is going to be his 16th season in the NFL. He's third all-time in rushing yards. Why would the Jets want to bring him in when they still have to pay Le'Veon Bell all that money? It's very interesting. Now, he did play for Adam Gase in Miami. What do you think about this transaction?
It's an interesting one. It's a good one. It also shows that they're looking for some leadership in that locker room, that they don't have a lot of veteran guys in there. It is a fairly young team. And Le'Veon Bell's a talent, but he's not a leader. He does his own thing. He's not a bad guy. He kind of does his own thing. And, you know, there's a feeling that this is probably his last season with the Jets, as they have an out after this year in the contract. And Adam Gase really never wanted him on the roster. It was something Mike McCagnon did to get some headlines, but Gase never really felt like he would be the right fit for his system. Gase and Gore go back a long time. When Gase was an assistant with the San Francisco 49ers, Gore was there. He knew him then. He had a really good season with him with Miami, as you mentioned. And he played very well last year for the Bills. So he's not showing age, which we're seeing with athletes these days. As they get older, they seem to – the guys that can stay healthy can keep playing. He's third all-time in rushing in NFL history, which is pretty incredible. He's behind 2 greats in Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. And he probably can catch Walter Payton. Nobody's catching Emmitt Smith. But he fits because it gives Le'Veon Bell an opportunity to not have to do some of the short yardage stuff against the bigger boxes that he can, and that's something that Gore is good at. So you can save Le'Veon Bell for more of the skill stuff and when the box is lighter, as they say, because you have your receivers on the outside.
Yeah.
Alan's getting very technical here with the NFL jargon. Is he not?
I'm trying to give you a little Royal Road. I'm trying to explain how it works.
Yeah.
But really what this is though about, it's about trust, that Gase trusts him. They need a leader in there, and he can still play. And it's only a 1-year deal. So it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Valley, how about being 37 years old and getting ready to play a 16th season in the NFL in terms of his ability to do this at this age? It's astounding, is it not?
I think, again, it's you want to have people in your locker room that are culture carriers. So the relationship they have from 2 previous experiences in the sport, knowing Gase knows that he's that type of a competitor every day in practice. And I'll tell you what, from the inside of a locker room, guys, you need sheep herders. Those are your leaders. You're going to have guys that are sheep, and those can be led or they can go the other way. Oftentimes, you're going to have what I refer to as the third case, which is the corpses. The corpses are guys that just want to get their points. They don't care if you win or you lose. And then the fourth group are the terrorists. Now, those guys are the worst because they undermine the coach's message. They probably had a lot of that in their locker room, where now when Gore comes in, because he's got that experience and that culture to carry, he can probably move those people into the right places. So sheep herders, sheep, corpses, and terrorists. Billy, which one are you?
Locker room sociology, Michelle, is too complicated for me to break down here on the spot. I got to think that through a little bit.
One quick story about Gore that I think kind of just speaks to why he might be so beneficial on this Jets team is he has been known to seek out the youngest talent he can find, like running backs of all ages, but especially the youngest and the best, to train with in the off season. He has been doing that for years. He always wants to be training against the youngest kids, the fastest kids, because when he beats them, he feels like, all right, I'm still in a good spot if I'm still beating these kids in the off season. And coaches will talk about him and they'll say that in practice, like, he doesn't get off the field. He wants every single rep. So I think that this will be a by committee approach now with Le'Veon Bell, and I think he will be an excellent addition to the locker room, just from a veteran presence and someone who really exemplifies what a strong work ethic can create for you, and just the importance of having that dedication and devotion to the game. I think it's great.
All right, much to come here on the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. Up next, we will talk with Islanders captain Anders Lee. He's got a new addition to his family. We'll talk to him about that, and also how's he getting through this period of time when we come back right after this.